Chapter 27. To give thanks is a universal key. If I give thanks, problems solve. Can I not give thanks even though it has been said that all things open up for those who give thanks? Would God not clear the path for me if I keep calling on Him in the midst of my troubles? Because I am sighing, my path does not clear. If I keep saying, "Thank you, thank you, thank you," and call on God, the doors that have been closed shut will open. When I open my spirit, things open for my family as well. For the person who believes, there is nothing that he or she cannot do. And there is no sighing from the person who is inside God. God drops a covenant on us and watches over us. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 1. If I shine, I will meet with God's glory. That light is God. Thanks is God. Now I will see God's glory. So He tells us to give thanks. When God gave the righteous people and the prophets in Scripture His word, they believed His one word and persevered until the end. He consistently tells us to give thanks because it is that important. Now, thankfulness must overflow from inside myself. I must first overflow with thankfulness because of the living word. I must also be thankful towards the love of God for getting rid of the evil inside me. Moreover, I cannot love God, so I must be thankful that He gave me the faith to love Him. If God does not give it to us, how are we supposed to love God? We must have a spiritual warehouse where we can store thanks. If I store up my thanks and continue to fill up with it, any problem that may arise becomes solved. If I give thanks, all obstructed and tangled things clear out and become resolved. To give thanks is the universal key that opens all things. There is nothing that does not open. However, if I do not give thanks, all the open doors close. Thanks is a gift given to us from the God of the era of love. When God keeps making us give thanks, there is a reason. Because there are things that block thanks, we must overcome them with thanks. God will open all the doors that have been shut due to the worlds of evil. If I want to overcome a test that God has given me, I must give thanks. However, when some problem arises, thanks does not come out. This is because the lustful person I exists. This person who blocks the way must not exist for thanks to come out again. God tells me to overcome with thanks from the place that I am in now. Then all difficult things will open. Although human beings cannot do this, God does it. At the east of the Garden of Eden, He placed the cherubim and a flaming sword to guard the way to the tree of life. The key to go inside and open that is thanks. If I give thanks, doors that have been closed open. When God dropped the plague of the firstborn son on Egypt so that He could pull Israel out, He commanded that they should put blood on the doorposts and the lintels of the houses, so that the plague would pass over. Just as the plague passed over the person who obeyed the command, right now, I must give thanks to receive the blessing of Passover. But when God's blessing descends, there are things that immediately come in search. I must always keep thanks engraved on my spirit and overcome by giving thanks. If perfect thanks is not inside my spirit, instead of thanks, something else comes out. There are times when I do well at giving thanks, but through the things of the world, complaints and discontent enter. In any one moment, thanks does not come out. In this way, spiritual things are very real and highly impressionable. When difficulty in things of the flesh comes, thanks becomes the key to clear the path. The person who has thanks can overcome all things. However, if the person with no thanks falls, it is very difficult to get up. When God intensely reveals the word, the world of evil come in search intensely as well. God tells us to give thanks, but they try to snatch thanks away. If God's command descends, there is always a person who comes and tries to snatch that word away. In Eden, God said, "Of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat." Genesis chapter 2, verse 17. And Satan said, "When you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Genesis chapter 3, verse 5. God tells us to give thanks, and he commands this. Thanks is God's cord of life. And even now, there is a person who tries to drag this down. That is why God gives us the key of thanks, and he tells us to utilize it and overcome. When thanks is obstructed due to some problem, I must not try to resolve it, but let thanks resolve it for me. Every time there is a problem, we are to entrust all things so that thanks can go and resolve them for me. When I entrust all things to him, thanks resolves all things for me before I even know it. Thanks is my helper, which God gave to me. And it is the universal key that resolves all problems. Only thanks lowers the spirit of disobedience. When my spirit becomes dark, I must spiritually look back upon myself. This means that I am disobeying in front of God, and a shadow has entered me at some unforeseen moment. This is not a shadow placed by Satan, but God's light has disappeared because of disobedience. When our spirits become dark, we must not automatically say that it is because of Satan. I must look back upon myself to see if I am obeying God's command. If I am filled with the fullness of the joy and thanks given by God, I can overcome any problem. If I move and keep the words just as God spoke, I can overcome all things. The reason I cannot is because I do not obey. Because human beings cannot govern over their own selves, they have regrets. The person who has many regrets lacks perseverance and has no patience. However, the person that God holds is at ease and sufficient in all things. The reason why human beings have regrets is because of disobedience that comes from Eden. Because disobedience springs out of me before obedience comes out, I have regrets. Though my heart knows that this must not be, disobedience comes out first. That is why disobedience always takes the lead. Disobedience is my lustful eye, and the word has to lower this. But thus far, such power had been weak. This is because, until now, God had permitted the world of disobedience to Satan. The reason why I feel hardship is because the spirit of disobedience is stronger than giving thanks. However, when he comes again, the spirit of disobedience, namely evil, leaves, and thanks automatically takes over. Now, thanks in the era of love can lower evil, the spirit of disobedience. Thanks is a new song. A new song is the fulfillment of 6,000 years and the opening of a new era. Not the things of the earth, but the things of God appears. And so, from inside thanks, there is power to overcome all things. It was said that the only ones to sing a new song were the 144,000. And they sang a new song before the throne and before the 4 living creatures and the elders. No one could learn the song except the 144,000 who had been redeemed from the earth. Revelation chapter 14, verse 3. 144,000 is the inside of God. It refers to the inside of Israel. The name Israel is God. It refers to the person inside God. with every 12,000 inside the 12 tribes of Israel became 144,000. This referred to a number that came out from inside Israel. It does not refer to a number in human terms. A new song refers to God resting upon me. For Jacob, Israel was a new song. A new song is joy. And so, joy and blessing is a new song. A new song is the blessing that rested upon Israel. As a person who deceived, Jacob's relationship with God became disconnected. But while he was in the womb, there was the love of God inside him. His existence, which had this love, was the continuity of suffering. Jacob went to the other and finished his work. And when he went down on his knees at the ford of Jabbok, the relationship with God became restored and God rested upon him. Glory had rested upon him. At that time, Jacob radiated light and changed to Israel. This is the blessing that Jacob received at the ford of Jabbok. The faith of Israel went inside Jacob. All things toiled in God's name became Jacob's. All things clear out and open for the person with a new song, namely, the person who gives thanks. When God enters me and thanks comes out, the enemy who had been sharpening his or her sword puts the sword down. That is why Esau, who had been sharpening his sword, took Jacob into his arms and embraced him. So then, those who sing a new song are those who have shed the life of the earth. They are those who have overcome a problem and passed through. What kind of worries or troubles would there be for a person who sings a new song? The person who sings a new song does not see his or her surroundings, but sees only God.